So, upon reflection about how I've grown as a professional educator in the last 3 years, I began thinking about a lot of different things. I began, of course, thinking about long term goals that I'd set for myself and how I've been trying to reach those goals. I think one of those things that I thought was really important is how I can engage all students, make content seem more accessible, and really reach out to all the different learning modalities just to make sure that I'm making it as easy as I can, as interesting as I can for these students so that they want to learn. And once they want to learn, then they're going to be able to learn a lot easier, really. So as far as that long-term goal is, I think I've been doing pretty well at just trying to make sure that the content is accessible, that I'm trying to make things seem fun or seem interesting or seem exciting. And I think that helps the students kind of seem like, seem like they understand that this is important. It is important to learn this stuff, even though, if, oh man, dividing fractions seems like such a, awesome, fun thing, because it doesn't. But if you try to make it seem exciting or make it seem useful, then I think they start to see the utility of it, and they start to seem like they understand that it's important. And I think that helps them. It kind of helps them pay attention a little bit more, and I think that is fantastic. And so, I think, as one of my coaches said, she said that she loved the enthusiasm that I had in my lesson because I really wanted it to seem exciting. That, oh my gosh, this thing over here, we're learning about fractions. It's so cool. It's so much fun. Just wait till you become older and you start using fractions every day. I really try to instill that energy into my lesson because I think the kids need it, especially with young ones who are going to be bored pretty often. They're going to have really short attention spans. You really do have to do a lot to grab their attention and then do it often too. So it's fun. I think it's working out pretty well. I think that my students overall are a little bit more engaged, and I think having a lot of different technology, technology in the classroom, I think is also really important for these kids who kind of grew up on technology. So for me, making content accessible for the scholars means that I'm using technology, I'm getting things that they're excited about to help them get excited about things that I'm excited about. Like math and social studies and stuff that they probably think is pretty boring, but I'm trying to get them more excited about it so that way they want to learn. And I think I'm doing pretty well. I would say that there's definitely a lot more room to grow, but I think that right now I'm on the right track. And one of the things that somebody asked me once, they said, well, how are you going to sustain this kind of energy? How are you going to really try? I mean, I can tell that you're passionate about education and what you're teaching, but how are you going to continue that energy later on? And I think that's really interesting too. That's something I've been thinking about. Sometimes after a long day, you get home, you're pretty tired. I think it's important not to realize or try not to get bogged down with all the work that you have to do. I think that there's a lot of things that we can do. I think that we want to try to stay on top of our workload. I think that's really important. But that also kind of adds a lot of stress onto our life as well. I think for me, it's really helpful to get home, think about what kind of things do I have to do, and try to get those things done at work. That way, when I get home, it's just me time. I can sit down on the couch and watch TV without having to worry about, I'm stressing about this test I have to grade or these report cards I have to do. I think it helps a lot to get things done at home and get things done at work and keep work life at work. And then you go home and you're able to completely enjoy your freedom at home. For me as well, doing relaxing activities, yoga, bike riding, hiking, that stuff really does kind of help me recenter and then get ready for going back in front of the crowd and doing the whole spiel in front of all the kids, which can be really taxing and can take a lot of energy out of you. But I think that trying to find the thing that you do that makes you happy, or trying to find that hobby or that relaxation, whatever it is that you enjoy, and making it a point to do those things that you enjoy when you're at home, and then doing the work that we have to do at work. And I think that separating these two things is pretty helpful for me, at least. So I think that with that kind of motivation and with the way that I like to think about my life at work, I think that I can continue being passionate about education well into the future. And I think that you do kind of have to have that connection to education. I really like thinking about extending my education, going into a master's level and um, thinking about even doctorate level courses. And even if we don't go that far, just think about other ways, other small courses that we can take now with education online. Education, not even for the students, but also for the teachers, has become more accessible than ever as well. So I think it's really important to take a little bit of continuing education here and there, just even if it's just to stay current on, okay, what are the new technologies that we're using, or what are the new textbooks, what are the new different programs in science, what's the new literature on how are we supposed to provide support or discipline for the students. I think going on and extending our education in those areas is important, even if it's just a little bit out of time. I think it helps build our connection, build our overall knowledge about education, how education works, and how we can be a part of that working educational system. I think that's pretty important too. And if I was going to give some advice to a new teacher who was just starting out, I think that it's important to say it could be a little scary. It could be a little overwhelming at times. I can see how things can be frustrating, but I don't want us to focus on all that stuff, because really, although it is really important to focus on the negative things that are happening, I think it's more important to think about the positives. And there are some times where it's easy to see these positives when we're looking at assessment growth between the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Looking at the way that our students have grown that way, I think is really important. Seeing other increases, not even in just the academics, but also personally, like in the students, are they having a good interpersonal skills now? Whereas I had a few students at the beginning of the year who had really bad social skills, and now they're making friends, they're having fun, they're not complaining about all these different things, and I think that's really important. So although it can be easy to focus on those negative things that kind of get you down, my advice as a new teacher would be to try to stay positive. Try to find those things in life and those things in the classroom that are positive or that make you feel positively. Seeing the academic growth in the students is always really, really great. And then just feeling like you're the person there who's helping them become a functioning member of society. Because without you, without their teacher, they're not just going to neglect the academics, but also the social skills that they're learning in class, the skills that they're learning to be successful, to be able to support themselves as adults. I think that's something else that we're looking at when we're teaching, is how can I get this young person here to realize that they hold their fate in their hands right now, and that the choices that we're making right now are going to set us up to be successful in the future. And so kind of helping them make those choices and help them see that these choices we're making right now affect our lives. And it could be a very positive way in the future. I think that's kind of important too. So I think that when we are teaching and when we are educating and when we are feeling overwhelmed, I think it's important to also realize that these students, they don't realize it, but they really do need us to show them the way to go. And so being a good instructor or being a good educator is also like being a good coach, being able to coach them through being able to coach them through this class this year, but also kind of telling them, this is what we need to be successful, to be professional, to be productive human beings. And I think that's one thing that I really enjoy. I really enjoy trying to help them realize, wow, I can make a difference. Wow, I can be so much more successful than I thought. And that's what really gets me excited about teaching. Is seeing that look in somebody's face when they think that they can't do it. They think that they're not going to end up being successful, and then you change their mind, and then they realize, wow, I really can be a successful person. And that's really cool. And so it's those positive interactions, I think, that as a new teacher you want to look for. You want to focus on those. You want those to be ingrained in your memories instead of maybe negative interactions that you have with students or parents or coworkers. You want to focus on those positive experiences. That's what teaching I think is all about. is being a positive influence in the lives of the next generation.